Senator Sheldon, remotely.
Thank you very much, Acting Deputy President. Well, the High Court's recent decision in the landmark WorkPac vs Rossato case was a huge victory for multinational, multi-billion-dollar labour hire firms. It was also a huge victory for the Morrison Government, which spent $300,000 of public money, taxpayers' money, supporting WorkPac's case. But it was a sickening blow to mine workers who have seen their jobs outsourced to labour hire firms and have been forced onto permanent casual contracts on less pay with no paid leave. Degradation of pay and conditions in the mining sector is emblematic of what is happening across every sector of the economy, where middle-class jobs are being stripped of middle-class pay and conditions. There are a lot of members of the government who claim to speak for mine workers and their families. Then they come to Canberra and fight tooth and nail to strip away their rights at work. They do the site visit, they put on the high-vis vest, they smear a bit of coal dust on their face, they tell people in central Queensland or in the Hunter that they're on their side, and then they pay $300,000 of their own money, taxpayers' money, to support a labour hire company in a court case against a casual mine worker. Well, in recent weeks, the Senate Committee on Job Security has heard directly from mine workers, unions, local communities in Queensland and Western Australia, and from mining companies, labour hire companies. They had a lot of things to say about labour hire. And frankly, from the mine workers and the local communities, they had nothing to say which was good. We heard that the big mining companies, some of the richest and most profitable companies in Australia, are shifting their workforce over to labour hire companies so they can cut their pay, so they can stop mine workers from speaking out about their conditions or safety issues, and so that they are easier and cheaper to dispose of. Some companies like BHP have even learned from one of the most anti-worker companies in Australia, Qantas. BHP has set up their own internal labour hire company so that BHP can undercut itself on pay and conditions. You know, the Alan Joyce effect, I call it. Now, Rob Foote, a retired mine worker and AMWU member from central Queensland, said, and I quote, "I worked for the United Group Resources for 14 years. And one day the mine came along and said everyone on site had to work for WorkPac. These people wanted to reduce my wages by half and on a casual basis. I went from $150,000 to $70,000. I had to pay for my own transport, on-site accommodation, inductions, medical and training. Whereas in the past, that was all supplied by the employer." That is the same company the Morrison Government just spent $300,000 of public money to support in the High Court. The Minerals Council, the lobby group for mining companies, admitted that casuals on labour hire actually get paid 24% less on average doing the exact same roster and the exact same job that permanent mine workers do operating at the mines. Now, this is obviously a rort. It's plain and simple. Wayne Golvich, another mine worker from central Queensland, a member of the Miners' Union, said he hasn't had a new full-time worker join his crew in over 7 years. They're all being phased out for labour hire casuals on less pay. He said, and I quote, "Any first world country that declares they are a fair and just society while having two people doing the exact same job and being paid differently, tens of thousands of dollars differently, is demeritorious." I commended Mr Golvich for his restraint because I describe it as a bloody disgrace. What is even more disgraceful is that we have a Prime Minister that was willing to spend hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars to keep that system alive. It is indefensible. It isn't just coal miners in Queensland and the Hunter who are being shafted by the mining sector and the Morrison Government. Job Security Committee also heard from the electricians who are working on major iron and gold projects out west. They are also being forced onto labour hire contracts rather than being employed directly. these sparkies would only speak on the camera, to the committee in camera. And after hearing their evidence, it was very clear why they wouldn't speak out publicly. They revealed that labour hire companies are using software called ERMS to record and track any workers who speak out about their pay and conditions, any workers who speak to a union, and any workers who speak out about safety issues. Now, there is an online database that the labour hire companies can all access, and they are blacklisting mine workers who speak out or stand up for their rights. Because that isn't all. Electricians told us it was common to get hired for a job at a remote mine site for $60 per hour. Once you are flown in, you get told the rate is actually $50 per hour. Then you have a choice between either taking the lower rate or you can wait around at camp without pay until the end of the week for the next flight. They told us about the disgraceful conditions of their housing and food at these remote mine sites. One witness had caught scabies multiple times from hot bedding, not having the company not cleaning or maintaining sanitary precautions that are necessary in those sorts of situations. They told us about what they call suicide shifts. 4 weeks on, 1 week off. One of the electricians said he had seen 2 people take their own lives on the mine site. One had hung himself in his room, and the very next day, someone else was moving into it. Those harrowing stories are what is really going on in mine sites around Australia. In 1996, 94% of mine workers in the Queensland coal sector were directly employed. Today, the number is just 50%. Now, ask the mining companies and the labour hire companies, why are they doing this? Well, the answer is obvious. It's obvious to everyone, and certainly obvious to everyone working in the industry. It's about cutting costs, silencing dissent, and maximising profits, and an imbalance in labour bargaining. The spin they come up with was obscene. The response was that it's actually the mine workers who want to live and work like this. One labour hire firm, One Key, said, and I quote, "Experience tells us that employees enjoy this flexibility and in many cases enjoy the benefits of casual employment." What a One Key is saying is that employees apparently enjoy being paid 24% less than the direct employees of the mine operator doing the exact same job on the exact same rosters. They enjoy that they don't receive, and to say that they enjoy that they don't receive appropriate leave entitlements, that they enjoy being sacked with 1 hour's notice, that they enjoy that if they speak out, they can be blacklisted for the industry for life. Now, this is an infantile, insulting argument. The committee asked the Isaac Regional Council in Bowen Basin about those arguments. Community leader, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Kelly Vevey said, and I quote, that as misleading as it's downright offensive, it's really frustrating because mining companies create new workforce structures that deprive workers of genuine choice. And then they say the workers actually didn't want to do that anyway. Now, another community leader, the Mayor, Councillor Anne Baker, said of the labour hire in their region, and I quote, "There can be absolutely no mistake that this completely undermines the socio-economic health of our regional and remote communities. And it is an offence, an insult that continues to be allowed to happen." I couldn't agree more. In the Isaac region and around Australia, and industries which previously provided good middle-class jobs, that paid enough to put food on the table, raise a family and maintain a home, we're now still seeing that middle-class jobs have pay and conditions stripped off them, and middle-class jobs are no longer receiving middle-class pay. The industrial relations system is broken. It needs to be rectified. People need to have an appropriate bargaining strength to actually deal with these sorts of rorts and rip-offs. And the unethical companies that are competing with good companies and gaming the system, whether it's the coal or mining industry or many others, needs to be held to account.